This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your in-depth review of my workspace as of Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Hopefully you're doing well. Can I get a mic check? If there's anybody in here, would appreciate a mic check. Just again, we had some audio version issues previously. Should be good. This video is going to be pretty important, I think, especially going into what I would consider inflection points, possible tops, possible reversals, whatever you want to call it. This is the time to start digging in deep. We've talked about what levels to look for. What I'd like to do is I have this, I use eSignal. If you ever use eSignal and you want to see my workspace, I don't mind sharing it with you. And here are all the tickers that I got that I'm just going to run through. And I like to take notes. You see in the comment section. That's what I'm going to do. Just leave comments. Because sometimes you set alerts. We do that. You draw the spots. But also it's nice to have a little bit of commentary. So I figured I would update that for folks. So at this point, yeah. Hopefully everyone can hear me. A little mic check. 1 2 1 2. What is this? And yeah, give it another minute. Let some people scroll on in. I know I'm competing against Senor Trump's announcement. I'm assuming he's running for re-election. I don't really know. But, yeah, one of those things. It just is what it is. I think I tell people this all the time. If you're not spending, 20, 30 minutes a day minimum looking at the charts. And I'm talking about not just watching the market. That doesn't do crap. If watching the market made everybody rich, traders would all be rich. Right? They would all be rich. So it is what it is. And yeah, hopefully if I can get a mic check, I'm gonna jump right into it. So if anyone can hear me, I had some audio issues earlier, really annoying. I appreciate it. Just a shout out. Not a lot of people in here yet, but that's what happens when you just start. I know kind of dropped this out pretty late, but it is what it is. I just figure I'm gonna be doing it, so why not? All right, you hear me loud and clear? Also, I was on. Oh yeah, well, is what it is. So, people are always funny. All right, Eric, if you're the only one here, let's do this. I really could care less if who's here live, because I imagine a lot of people are gonna watch this on recording. Let's go to the videotape. So, first thing at the top, TLT. We've talked about this. Higher lows, possibly popping. We talked about a lot of things. If inflation is considered to be slowing down near term, I don't really trust that. Meaning what? If oil and gas start picking up, inflation starts gearing up, I don't know how much upside is left on the TLT. So at this point, it's an old channel high in the 50-day. Gonna put down the notes. Watch the 100 area. I mean, it's really this simple. Nothing really to say. You can say add the 50-day there. Near term upside. I look at this and I say, well, we'll reevaluate once you get over the 100 area. This is what I would do. I'm just ramming through this stuff, hopefully quickly. We talked about in the 100-day and this area broke, but a note, watch the 28 area. And so watching the 28 area, you can add some extra notes of, hey, I'm checking the 28, but it's also what? Point of control. It's an old trend. It's a fib. And what? It's the 200-day. Now, 200-day in light blue. What up, Bob? One of the things that, I like to put the notes in is, and here's a good, kind of warm up for this. When you get a point of control, an old trend line, a Fibonacci retracement, and the 200-day moving average all in alignment, we talk about how points on the charts act like walls, act like support, resistance, whatever you want to call it. Well, the more factors that line up, like say a point of control, a volume at price zone, a trend line, a 200-day, a fib, the more that these all line up, it allows people to see more of the same thing. And if more people are, I always tell this, if a 12-year-old can't see the setup, then it's really not there. And when I say that, I mean Is it easy? Is it visual? Because I mean, does it? We talk about don't bring a ruler to trading, but there are times literally where you get to your spot, boom, 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 boom. It makes sense why people would start taking profit. You're not the only one seeing this, and then the market makers also too. They know where the liquidity is. Remember, this is a market. Market is a liquidity-seeking mechanism. The VIX said this today. I'm not surprised it popped, but that pop is not what you wanted for the bears. We've said since you can break out with the market dumping in October, we said we're probably going to go fill this gap. So watch for gap fill under 21. Watch for 23 to hold. That would be my second guess. So just put that down. I mean, like I said, let's try to get through these quick. We can talk about each one. If you have a question as we get into one, just let me know. Man, the Vixen, remember this is the volatility of the Qs. Look at those wicks. I mean, they got to clean this up. It doesn't look great, but hey, 27 area. 27 area. And again, the gap has been filled many a times, but I would just say watch the 27 area for a open or close on. So, all right, aka Scratch, bringing them Raga flavors. Yeah, man. The Vivix, I pay attention to this. People are like, what is that? It's like the volatility of the volatility. Making new lows. Starting to get a little choppy. I really don't have much on this because sometimes if you look at the monthly, it's only been around since 2012. It's the CBO volatility. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the monthly. Sorry, I'm like trying to come into there. I'm like, can't really see much. Moving right along. SPY. All right, these are probably going to take more than a second. So I would watch the 410 area, the 406, and write to yourself, all right, what are the notes that associate with that upside? You got the 200-day, you got trend line, downtrend, or downtrend channel, or down the top of the channel, whatever you want to say. Top of the channel. I would also argue there's the 0.75% fib. Again, you're just adding more layers of what potentially could be resistance, could be support. Think of this as like building a cake or a recipe. You're like sprinkle a little salt and a little pepper. We're building the recipe. That area to me, now again, let's also look what's over to the left, right? Looks like there's some volume at price here too, right? So it's probably going to be really hard to get over this. Just keep it simple. Now people are like, this is so remedial. And it's like, the basics kill. I mean, it's almost like in any sport or game or whatever you want to call it. Like, if you know the fundamentals, you're going to do well. And now, again, we're trying to put probabilities in our favor. We're not trying to predict every single move all the time. So I would watch that. I would watch this 406, the 413. Put down in there a note, too. If we maybe potentially top over Thanksgiving, that could make sense. All right, let's keep it going. Qs. We talked about what? Probably this 297 area. All right, what do you see? What do I see? I see 50% fib. So I'm going to put notes at 295. 295 plus. Remember, please don't bring a ruler. You got the 50% fib. Just typing this stuff out. Percent fib. It's volume at price zone, VAP zone. Man, it's been a long day. It's also an old trend line. I would keep that. Keep it really that simple. I'd be watching that. Now we're into the zone, which is not a surprise. You backed off. Remember, the first test sometimes it's pretty normal. We talk about topping, bottoming is not just a one-time thing. So 50% fib, 2095, VAP zone, old trend line. I would watch. Here, add this note. How does it act over the 100-day? Because if you start getting over it, and it just starts wicking out, that's probably going to be leading to what? Distribution at highs. Watch the volume too. All right, IWM. I've said this for a while. Watch the 190s, right? I still have that in there. 190s. You got, you know, a fake breakout over the 0.618. That's always a good way to trap people. Keep in mind this one leads, and it's you can see the volume node to the left, right? Remember, this should probably peak first. Not probably, it should. If this is going to peak first and lead the market, then we might be close. Keep that in mind. SPY could pop another, 10, 12 points, and this could get stuck. That's what you need to watch for. So, last note to self, is it stuck? Because if it leads and tops first, again, here, show you again. So here's the IWM. Getting potentially stuck if it peaks, and the SPY could go up a little higher. I love showing this to people because they're like, oh, the market topped in December. Well, did it? Which market? Talk about the IWM leading, right? Well, the IWM actually peaked in November. Now, will we have that kind of lag? Probably not. Probably not. So keep that in mind. The Dow. This is one of the things that I absolutely love about industrials coming forward. They're going to lead. They're going to do way better than crap tech. They're going to do way better than anything related to deflationary things like certain types of tech. So when you look at this, you go, here was your upside target previously. We got to be getting close on the Dow. Now IBM's been on fire, and some of these other names. Apple helps holding up, so I would put in, watch the 340 plus area. Watch for a double top. Now again, set all your alarms as you'd like to, but this makes sense. And what if the worst case scenario is what? We always talk about the broadening patterns potentially. Could it broaden out? Yeah, let's try to figure it out. Now I know this isn't a perfect science. It's really hard because if this angle of ascent or descent, and you try to duplicate it, again, you can't duplicate it upside down, right? And so you're like, well, what's my angle that's similar to this? It's probably something like that. Now, again, this is just freehanding all this crap. Maybe that's it right there. Try to make it work, right? Could you get up into the 350s? Yeah, 35,000 on the Dow. That would be pretty nuts. Let me clean up these lines. I appreciate your patience with this. And if you got questions, you want to just say something, say it. There's a lot to think about as you're going through all this stuff. It's never as easy as it seems. What they say, hindsight's 20/20, right? Well, same thing in trading. Well, how do you get good at trading in the now? It's doing this stuff. You practice it. You start going, all right, well, the VAP zones, and here's the fibs, and here are your, points of control, support, resistance. Here are the moving averages. Again, the more things that coalesce in one spot, the bigger, the better. Let me actually write one more note for the Dow. Just be broadening pattern. Takes you to 3,500, 350 on the DIA. DIA! Gold. How do you know Dan likes gold? It's literally the top of his radar. It's literally #1 stock on my workspace, if you didn't know that. USA. Yeah, all right. This one is a little harder, and so this is why you're going to have to come back, potentially stop, look at things more than once. All right. I've said this many times. I want to see 150. I have in my notes still 148 to 150 is the ideal entry if the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater, right? So that's the monthly. Near term, looking at the monthly, the 20-month was important, but it wasn't like stopping power. It wasn't like ding, 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 hitting it. Short-armed it again. So let's not give that a ton of credence. Where are you weekly? I've got to move some things around. Give me 2 seconds. All right, well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. This isn't sexy by any means. But this is how you get better at this stuff. It's like going to the gym and practicing whatever sport you're in, whatever you're trying to do. All right, so these trend lines didn't do crap. This one looks a little more important. You can tell it like slid across it. All right, I would watch next the 158 level. And again, this is all stuff on the daily too, and say next support would be 158. So if this is like, if my man Solstice is listening, I'd be watching 158 GLD weekly. Let's roll into the daily. Now again, this could take a while. I'm not. Hopefully, by my own, I can just bounce around very quickly. So here's your 157, 158 area. Near term, again, I'm not looking to short this, so I'm not really looking for an upside potential. But I would venture a monster guess near term that if you wanted to put this in your, oh man, you know what, I just remembered something. This is what you gotta love about doing this stuff. The market, gold loves the 0.71 or 786. Where is Eric, if you're listening around, remember 0.786s? We used to do a ton of digging in and be like, man, 0.786, 0.786. 150, not seeing a ton of VAP there. No, it's more of just monthly. Here, let me show you again. It's more of the monthly spot. You see here, 150, major support. 40 again, 148 to 150. Like when you do monthlies, like don't put like exact points. Like that's just you're playing with your emotions when you try to pick it perfectly. All right, so we're going back to the daily. That 0.786. Man, this is why you do this stuff. 0.786 on gold. Because maybe it spikes with some Ukraine crap. If you see the 167 area, think about it. I'm going to put this, add a little. I would watch the heck out of this area. Man. 0.786. This is what happened. I mean, even if I'm not trading gold, I still remember this crap from the past. Yeah, I mean, here it is. The VAP zone. I mean, but this is interesting. The first touch, look, we backed off. Let's see what happens. Let's keep this going because we could go on this could be a 3-hour video, and I don't want it to be. It's already 17 minutes, and I'm barely into it. Silver, we talked about getting over the 200-day. I wouldn't be surprised if we got to the 2070 area. Again, not going to short this, but I'd set an alarm. I'd say, you know what, look for 17 or less. And if you look for 17 or less and it pops, maybe it's time to buy. Problem with silver, as we always say, is the best time to buy it is when what? The market's getting smoked. That's when they blow it out. GDX, we talked about 35 upside. Not surprised. Here you go, 34, 35. I mean, it's, again, don't bring a ruler. Next, I mean, you got to watch the 28 area. And then below that, there's some other major support I'm checking out on the monthly. I'd say first, I know it sounds crazy, but first support and major support has been 28. Check this out on the monthly. Maybe I have to do a 2-part series on this. Yeah, we're not in a rush. I don't think we're in a rush to do anything. But here you go. Here's that 23, 24 is what? Is that one? Oh, man, this is so hard to... Yeah, 23... What did I say? 20... Maybe say 23 to 25. That's the best way to describe it. Because I still think if you get down here, you're going to get down there. You might make up new lows. So, apologize. 23 to 25 area. People are like, 23 to 25? That's a huge range, Dan. Well, if you've ever traded this stuff and you saw this was the one COVID day, like 1 month, like, don't be surprised. Like, that literally was annihilation. And here I'll show it to you on the daily what it looked like. Nope, that is not how it looks like. Do you think the price action in, like, what is it, March or April of 2020 made sense? I mean, look at this. I mean, it went from 48 down to 19. When we talk about capitulation and talk about just sheer carnage, VIX spiking, that's what you're looking for. Now, if we don't get that, that's where you have to watch previous support. And now, I don't know. It's hard to say. If you don't know, hard to say all things. No, it just seems likely. Yeah, that capitulation was at 355. No, it's pretty wild. This is probably going to be in a trading zone. That's my guess. So if you want to short the highs of it, be my guest. It makes sense. I'm not going to say that if the market kind of holds up, that they won't sell gold. I mean, it's been a hedge, right? It's been something for protection. I mean, I would not be surprised. GDX, I don't really want to talk about the GDX as much as I should here, but I have gap fill at 21 area. You see it right there, and then maybe touch the 16 area. If you don't see 16, this is why we go to the monthly. Here it is. It's been the range lows multiple times. Hope that helps. Moving right along. AG. Whales moving big time. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The monthly is where I'm starting this one. I should probably start on the monthlies here. I got an alert at 5. And we were like, what? Yeah, I mean, that's... I really don't want to buy it until then. Moving right along. I mean, if it goes higher, great. There'll be other miners. AEM, this is where it's getting a little interesting. We know they got their deal with, look at that trend line. Yamana Gold. Oh, some of the monthlies are absolutely insane in the miners. Yeah. I would watch that monthly trend line. You know, we talk about this one having volume on the daily. Let me show y'all again. Again, the monthly trend line here. This is what I love about eSignal and a lot of other. I don't know if all trading platforms do this, but you can share this trend line to every workspace, like literally, which is amazing because I might be tracking this on the daily, and I don't want to have to draw it on the monthly. Nope. Now I just boop, switch it, and it's there. I just added it while you are talking. Here it's this green line. Hey, Cap. So I mean, it seems very likely upper 30s would be like the start watching. Huge volumes at the lows, as you can see. Watch the 36 to 38 area. And maybe they have issues with this whole financing of what they're doing. I don't know. But here you go. WPM. Wheaton. A lot of these have what I would consider, trend lines or some sort of major support near term. Again, I like starting on the monthly. Hopefully you can see that somewhere in the upper 20s, upper to mid 20s. You can make a case that this is a pretty solid base, but you're getting up to the 200 day. I would think about it. This is like a complex head and shoulder, and they break it down. I'm sorry, like that could easily come into play. FNV. We gotta roll through this. I need coffee. Been acting strong. This is one of those ones, royalty names, if I remember correctly. I don't know why I wouldn't remember correctly. Yeah, that's what it is. I'd be watching. I have an alarm at 100. I would look at something near 100. Now, I know that's way far off, but don't be surprised. The big names can get cashed out quick, too. NFGC, this one has been a Sprott special. It's been acting like crap. Interesting action. No, Cat, I'm busy. I thought you were dead. Just kidding. I've got an alarm at 250. 2 to 3 area. I know that's a wide and loose range, but if the market is going to capitulate this miner, I don't see it really getting below this 250 area. Hopefully you can see that on the daily. I'll just draw it. Let me draw it real quick. Boop, 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 boop. This little trend line. I know the trend lines don't matter, but whatever. SLIV. Let's go through these. I mean, again, I've got alarms in the 4s, maybe 3+. Some of these names are just not even on the docket yet. I'll just try to wrap it through them quick. I've got alarms and thoughts and notes at the 8s. Not bad. Love the 6s. Remember, juniors could get smoked. Junior silver miners to get smoked. Mag, watching the 10 area, maybe 7 or 8. It's pretty crazy. People don't really realize what can happen to these names, but you go back in time, you've got trend lines. You got trend lines. I mean, that 8 area. Oof. Hecla, been doing pretty well, holding up. I said if you get back to the 340 area, I'd watch it. Holding up really well for a smaller one. Newmont, hate this. I don't even know if there's a price on here. I think I put, if you look at the monthly, what happened in 2008, it was like, look out below. So, went from 53 down to 20. Things gotten cooked. Could it go from 48 down to, man, I don't know, 20, 13, 20, 25? I don't. Moving on. That's just, I hate large mega miners. I mean, they're going to have to buy. They're going to have to buy other companies. Pass, they've been absolutely smoked with their deal with Humana. I would set an alarm for the 11 area. That's what I got. All right. Man, this is going to be hard, but we're going to dig. We're going to push through. XOP. I have notes that fill the gap at the 161 level. Watch the 140s. Well, we seem to, hold this area, so put that in your notes. Long term, I don't know if this really worth talking about downside potential because we don't have plenty of time. I would just watch. If it fills the gap and turns over, game over, potentially. If not, it could make higher highs. There is the 50% fib on the monthly. Oh, you're looking at it. Sorry, I was on the daily. You could get up into the 180s. That area would make a lot of sense. And a lot of dollars if you're trading oil names. So put that in there. Max upside. I mean, it's literally the 50% fib. Let me try to figure out this way to put all this stuff. 50% fib. And 180s. Keep it simple. We don't need to confuse yourself. I always tell people, like, you don't need a ton of complicated crap on people's charts. And I always haze people for their RSI, MACDs, Bollinger Bands, all this crap that doesn't help them out. Some of those monthly, yep, I'm sorry, just redo this. Here you go. Fill the gap. How high? How high, you tell me? Let me duplicate on all of the charts. So the 0.382 there, here it comes. There it is. Duplicate the fib up there. All right, Oxy. I got channel highs at the 78, 79. That's what I'd be looking for. If it gets over 76, 78, 79. Put that in your notes. USO, I've said this for a while. I think oil is going to pop and it's going to put the feds in the predicament. I mean, some people might argue this is like a flag. Flags, whatever. I mean, fly your flags. I don't care. Let's watch the levels. As long as it holds the 70 level and it pops, it puts pressure on the feds. I've said minimum I thought you'd get to would be $100 a barrel. It's probably putting you in the 80 area. But keep in mind the 77, because 80 area is going to equal about 100. And 77 is where we got to with 93, I think. Again, double check this. I'm trying to get through this quick. We talked about this previously. You set fibs from monthly charts typically. I set fibs from all charts. I try to bonus. So this is an interesting thing that a lot of people who follow me realize. When the moves are completed, the fibs line up with swing points in volume at price zones. So I try to draw on different time frames to see how it lines up. Because if a move is done, it typically lines up. So let's pull up this, again, I hate charting the USO because it does decay. But if the zones line up with the fibs, like, I mean, literally, here you go. This is why I do this stuff. Remember, the computers are controlling this stuff. Look at the 50% fib, exactly the high. 0.382 has been the resistance, right? 0.618, that would probably take you to the high. But I do run fibs all the time. It's just whether or not I give them credence. Because this is what's always nutty about this stuff is when the move is done, the fibs just somehow line up with swing points in important areas. I mean, look at that. The 50% fib literally is the top of the vacuum for this VAP zone. Great question. It was almost like this was meant to be. Give me a second to drink some water. Mouth dry. Put some ads in this. All right. So got the 93, 81 area. So I'm going to add 81 area and the 50% fib. Done. Hopefully you guys are picking up on some of this stuff. UNG. Talked about this as being what? Potentially a broadening pattern. Now again, you can see it a little better. I think on nat gas, it looks a little steep. Let me clean that up. If commodities are going to go banging higher, and this is the bottom, let's draw some fibs. See if things look interesting. Nothing too crazy. So I would just look at this, and the first resistance is going to be this 21, 22, which was support. Talk about support equals resistance. Remember when we broke here, it was game over. Look what it popped over it, closed right at it, and then gap below it. So I would say 21, 22 is the first target. 21 plus 22s. Next, I've said this 27 area. I think people remember this. That's my next guess. After that, we'll evaluate when we get there. It's just one of those things. Let's not trade the future. I said that earlier in the recap. I'm like, you got to be careful. Do not trade the future. You have to trade what you see. EQT kind of gave up on this one, but still the zones are working. If you want, just take a minute to look at this. I think you got to get over 45, right? I mean, you just got to get over 45. And then maybe upside 48 to 50s. I personally struggle with trading them because their derivatives department lost $5 billion. I think year to date. It's like, you guys are an oil and gas company and you can't trade oil and gas. Okay, get someone better. Losing $5 billion on hedges is terrible. I mean, I feel like anybody in this room could have done better. ExxonMobil, we talked about the upside, 117. That is the monthly trend line in yellow. What happens at the 116, 117 area after that, we don't know. If it does go higher, the 2 fib is at 119. This stock has been an absolute beast, hence where, stick to leaders versus tech is just crap. You don't sleep well overnight holding Tesla, but you sleep well overnight holding ExxonMobil as the market holds up. At this point, just keep an eye on it. PXD, you're welcome if you took this trade. We talked about the 20-day being support here, chopping around, and you can also see support Y255 plus area was support. Where is it? Where's that big candle? There you are, buddy. There you are, Bubba. Talk about high volume highs, high volume lows, act as tractor beams. There you go. There's one of them. Acted like resistance, support and resistance. Next target set up here. I would look at probably at least 275. That's my guess. If we get going crazier, I mean, you can start putting 290 up there next. Why do I like this stock? I mean, it's got leverage. I mean, here's the monthly. This is not what a busted stock looks like. Right? This is a strong stock. Oh, strong stocks can get hit too. That's where it is. You got to be careful. SCO or SCCO, copper name. Thing has been on fire. I would put the first, man. This one's tough because if you look at the monthly, look at this freaking monthly, y'all. That is a huge green screw you, bears. But you're coming up into the 62 area. I'm not going to short this, but I have some alarms at the monthly at 35. Here's the trend line, the 200 month. Keep it simple. I mean, we could get in depth on all of these, but I'm not going to short it, so I wouldn't recommend it. FCX, let's go back to the daily. You got some major resistance at 40. So if you like it, the short there, that makes sense. I would watch the 23 level. If you watch 23 level, I'm just bouncing back and forth from the monthly and the daily. You can see why. Oops, sorry. It's this black line here. Black line right there. So mid 23s if you're going to look for the monster support. When I say mid 20s, mid 20s, 24, 25, 26, somewhere like that. Good old tan. I have an alarm set. I need to probably move it down just a slight bit. I'm watching back. See, if you hold over the 70-80 level, I'm not saying 88 has to come, but that would be, oh man, I'm on them. Sorry. Let me get back to the daily. That would be the easiest short. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. But think about it. This is where, look to the left. This is where all the volume starts being overhead resistance, like major overhead resistance. Right now, if you go back on the monthly, this thing has been around. It's been around. But think about the volume after the splits. I mean, look at that run. 26 up to 126. Now you're at 81 with what's going on. I don't want to short this stuff too early. So that's what I'd put. Watch the 80 level, 81, 82, whatever this box is. And then watch the 88 to 90. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to like talk and do 1,000 things at once. So I'm trying to make sure I give you guys all the insight I can. So I know the next resistance. ENPH, we've talked about this one being a boss. Talked about the blow off. Talked about probably holding the high volume low. Look at that. Double bottom. Now you're chopping up near the highs. I mean, I would watch the 330 level. I know that's not ideal for people when you said, oh, maybe the 305, but the market's holding up. 330 seems way more likely. So it's the channel high too. Check out the monthly. This thing has been just a monster. So when it's time to pull back, I think you see the area. It's anywhere in the 110 to 115 range. This one, put this on your list. Watch it, Keep an eye on this thing. Because if it gets to 330, I mean, it just seems, I don't know how to explain this. It just seems logical. Gosh darn it. That this is going to make a new high to play games. Come on, you can catch it. Because this is what leadership does. It plays games, right? Like at the highs, they don't make it easy to short leaders. They like to blow off top. They like to retest. They like to play games. Remember, there's tons of people in them. There's no reason to, unless it does like a straight line vertical move. The best thing that operators can do with names like this is what? Chop them out. And then buddy pass the snack out of them. Can't curse. You know what I mean? Like upgrade at the highs. New price targets, and then it doesn't go. Sedge. I mean, 312. I know these are big ranges, but these things are volatile. These stocks are incredibly volatile. You can see it. You got the volume at price. So 310. 310, and then what? Poof. Look out below. First Solar, I've said this many times. If you're new to the channel, watch the 164. It's also the monthly fib. Take a note of this. You can see it right here, but also take a note of why it matters. That area matters. Look at all the wicks and support all across on the monthly. You don't think this stock has muscle memory? It does. So let's take that in. Again, 164s, short, with a leash. Again, all of these. if the market's continuing to rise, you got to be careful. Bottom line, 164s, pull it on the daily. Downside, I mean, channel lows. I mean, 130s. I mean, keep in mind, this thing, if we go into a massive drop, First Solar is going to get cash out. HYG, this is, I mean, not in order. Some of these are popping around. What have we talked about? Like, you know, if corporate debt is going up and leading up, we're just thinking about this today. Look at this little VAP zone. Let me zoom out a little bit. It's going to struggle with the 74, 75 level. So I'd write that and just kind of watch that. Now, are you going to act on it? Probably not. But if you have a note to watch 74, 75, you wrote that down, and you come back and you see, oh crap, it's under that, it's starting to turn over, then that would help confirm what? Bearishness. Adobe talked about the 100-day, 50% fib. So 355 plus approximately. You know, look to short. If you look out, you know, where this has come from, this is where at worst it fills, you know, you start looking for the gap to fill. And you can see it's right there, 368. Could you get that high? Yeah. I mean, this thing is taking a bath. Like all tech, when the momentum's lost. I hope people realize that. Like, tech is nowhere to go back to the long term. It's all commodities. It's all stocks that are lower left, upper right during all this crap. Now, when they all pull back, but tech in itself is not coming back. Like, the people who sold up here are begging for higher prices. Begging to get back to even. Those are not stocks you want to buy. Because when money leaves, the momentum is dead. You're talking about dead money. Dead money. Remember, you have opportunity costs at every trade. You do not want to own stocks that go nowhere. Because you will want to do what? Kill yourself. No, seriously, like, it's me learning that lesson with gold. It wasn't going anywhere. I'm like, well, man, every time it feels like it's ready. It's ready. Didn't go. I put gaps in pink just for y'all's notice. Apple. Sorry, I'm like skipping fruit. Can't miss the fruit. 155. You know, gotta hold. You know, if not gotta hold, it's probably gonna hit that. And this is harder than I thought. Hit the 155s. It's also 50% fib. It's also the volume at the VP or the VAP zone upper bound. And so here's the key. If it can get over that, then it can go higher. But clearly, once it got there, post earnings, like, no, go to hell. Next, downside. I mean, we can get there. We'll do the downside when the bear market rally is done. If not, I mean, I could be here for 3 hours trying to talk about this. Let's just identify the upsides, and if we're right, that's a great problem. It's not good if you're trying to short endlessly and you're going, well, the stock's going to 120, Bob, and it just continues to rise higher. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, gains will take care of themselves when you're right. Amazon, I'm watching these low 100s, right? It had to hold the 100 area. It couldn't get it. I mean, maybe the gap fill. Maybe. It just doesn't feel right. Maybe it gets cut, but here's the thing. What is next week, right? Black Friday, shopping, yada, yada, yada. Walmart was doing well, meaning, you know, it had a good response on its earnings. Could Amazon fill the gap? Absolutely. Remember, the market's not rational, y'all. Absolutely. The market's not rational. I tell that people all the time, like, oh, it should be doing this. It's like, what should, could, would? How do you get everyone to agree? You just can't. So, has to hold around 100. Upside, gap fill. This, you gotta love when they all line up. Gap fill, 0.382, and downtrend-ish. Because you see this trend, it went a little over it. That's... Now again, when you see things that are looking better, it's much easier to short these, right? Like star, which ones look the easiest? People are like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, easy. Yeah. The goal is to find easy trade. It's not to create emotional distress by trying to find the hardest setups. Oh, I gotta buy those stock and that, and I'm thinking, look, But you can't see it, but it looks like this. And it's like, no. I want it obvious, clear as day. 167 on CRM. Watch what happens when it gets up there. I would keep that in mind. It's not really leading, but we're close. 167 area. If it gets over it, 200 day at 177 probably becomes the wall. And why do we say that? Well, let's look. Like if you pull this over, right? You pull over this chop zone. I mean, by the time it, where does that candle get? By the time it gets, remember this is curling down continuously, it'll probably find itself there. So, hope that helps. Moving right along. Google. Piece of crap. Held channel lows. Why is the trend line not drawn? I told you I had some errors with my charts where they didn't save. 108. Man, could this all line up here? 100-day. VAP zone. Channel low. I mean, say 107. Let's go 107 area. No brainer. Short with stops. You got the 100-day channel highs, and you got top of the VAP zone. All right, love that. That's another solid one. Keep in mind, like this is a probably short-term capitulation action, and if you pop up, they'll try to somehow argue it's a head and shoulders bottom, but we'll see what happens when we get there. Meta. I'm talking the future, and again, why? You try, but it doesn't. You know, this is where plans go to crap quickly. Maybe we should talk about 155 not being the bottom of the fib anymore. We talked about that area being so important. Whew. Ugh, what an ugly chart. What an ugly mofo. I don't know why anyone would be buying this long term. They're like, oh, it's cheap. Look at its PE ratio. It's like, pff. Does anyone know what the PE ratio of like Valet or Letter X are? They're like 1 or 2. 16, 17, 15, whatever time earnings Meta is, it ain't cheap. I'd probably watch, which seems very logical now as you see this, this 126 plus maybe, 50-day. That's what I'm putting up there. 125 plus. 50-day gap fill. Any questions as we're going through this? Because this is not sexy by any means. This is like me pulling up real estate and trying to find deals. Like it's just tedious and boring. But when you find one, that's all that matters. You find the nuts. Pocket aces. It's a little aggressive with the lettering. Might have to go take a break. Can you do that? Can I do like a 5-minute commercial and just take a break? It's exhausting mentally. Long day, especially when you talk about what happened today. Jesus, love it. Microsoft. I'm gonna push through though, because that's what we do. We don't stop. My coaches always said there's 24 hours in a day. What's your damn excuse? And it's like, well, I guess there really isn't any. Probably this 250 area. It's a laggard, but 250 plus area. I know we're coming into this trend line here, but you probably also could make the case for, man, this is dirty charts. Dirty chart porn. Maybe that. Your guess is as good as mine. It's just, you see the volume at price here. Can y'all see this? Again, I'm talking to myself. I know probably after recording. But 250s. Like, it's probably going to struggle there. Remember, if the market is a liquidity-driven mechanism, you see the 250 area. I mean, I say plus. I mean, say mid 250s. Again, I hope this is helping. If this isn't, I don't know what to say. If it's worth anything to you, super chat, 50 cents or $1. That's cool. I'm just curious of like how many people actually know what the hell I'm even doing. I'm sometimes amazed how people like their charting processes are so basic. It's like, hey, I want to be an NBA basketball player. Okay, you don't want to go to the gym. No, no, but I'll be great. Okay, I'm great. Oh, I want to play in the NFL on Sundays. I don't need to practice. NDAQ. I mean, we're there. I mean, I have it in. Watch the 65 level. I will talk about the downside here. The first downside is going to be probably the back test of this trend line. So watch the mid 2062s. That's what I would look for. I've said this a bazillion times, and if you want to see why I love this stock, because it is Coinbase to digital currency, is NDAQ to all these NASDAQ stocks. I mean, it IPO'd, I remember that, and it just was like, oh, cool. Meh. And it got pretty, I mean, do the math there. 60%. All right, well, what's 60% off of the highs here, right? Okay. 70 down to probably old support resistance. 24. Yeah, I mean, you could make a case probably somewhere between. It's a big wide zone there, but I mean, I would take that. Shorting at 65 with the 21. I mean, it can go fast. It can absolutely go fast. You don't remember COVID. I mean, it went from 38 down to there quickly. Well, if the actual business of this company is drying up because of Qs, NASDAQ in general, who knows? MicroStrategy, I mean, I thought you might get up into this low threes. Tough. This one is just tough. I mean, I'm moving on. I can't wrap my brain around trying to trade that. The options are incredibly expensive, and it's crypto based. You know, I don't know. I struggle with crypto. Netflix, we talked about this. If you bought this pre-earnings, because we talked about, hey, it's compressing. Like, here's your, you know how they call like cup and handle. Like, here's your W pot. Here's your W pot. Just kind of made that up on the fly, but that's what it looked like. It was like a double bottom and a channel low. Boom, gapped up, compressed. Keep in mind, this came from what, 700 approximately. Upside target. If you get 330s in the gap fill, it should easily reject the first time. After that, this thing is taking an absolute slaughtering. I really struggle with seeing how this can go much higher. I mean, there's so much competition. There's no money to be made in this. These now are like, I used to really believe in Sirius and XM back in the 2000s, early 2000s, and eventually, like, their profits, their margins were just peaked out in competition. So it's like, what's their upside? Same kind of thing like Netflix. Like, there's so much competition, then there's never ending companies coming in. Dead. Leave it alone. Roblox. I don't know. I think this is a buyout target at some point. Watch the low 30s. That's all. I mean, putting down watch 30s. Oh, watch net fill gap 320 to 330 area plus. Keep in mind, we've owned this less than. I mean, I sold a lot of it in the last 2 days, hoping for a pullback. I still have a small amount, but think about it. It just went from 255 up to 310. We say more you're up, less you own. All right. Well, if it goes higher and fills the gap, great. I don't. I'll take less shares with that kind of risk because knowing that it's gone pretty much. I mean, that's an amazing move. Any pullback, I'll start watching. And it depends. And maybe I don't because why? The market's rolling over, and I'm like, screw it. Netflix, see you later. Adios, amigo. Might be other things. Tesla. This is tough. I mean, you got to watch. I mean, I thought 225 got a little higher. I mean, lower lows, lower highs. You see why I talk about like NDAQ? Like, I am drooling at the mouth for that to start unloading. Like, Tesla's not getting back to the highs in this bear market, anytime soon. Where do you want to short? If Elon's selling, probably 200 plus. Maybe 210, game over. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. SMH. Everybody wants to hear the SMH. Here we are. We're there. We talked about what? The 200-day, potentially, if the market held up. The 50% fib. It's a volume at price node. I think I'm seeing something else too. This is why, I mean, I've been, people they're like, you know, you're doing really well, but you seem to be not have all your shit together. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been literally trading like CF, AA, oil, nat gas, Netflix, and a few names. I don't need to jump around. I don't need to. I don't need to. I just watch the indexes. What else am I feel like I'm missing. See, oh yeah, NTR. I mean, there's a few names. SMH, you're coming into it, but I would watch that 235 zone. I don't know why. It didn't just hit at me until I saw it, but in that gap in this area seemed to be important, right? We'll see. I mean, you're close enough for government work. We talk about gaps and 3-gap traps. 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gaps. No, that's why I love the NDAQ options, Lee. They're super cheap. Oh my god, I got March 63s for like $3. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, 235. I mean, if the Qs are going to get to 295, yeah. I mean, you got to think about that. So 229 and then 235 max upside. That would be my guess. Do the math, right? It's gone from what, 167 up to 230. It's a pretty solid move. You know, 10% is 17 points. It's a solid move. It's a really solid move. It feels like a bear market rally-ish kind of move. 1 gap. I'm trying to think 2 gaps. I'm trying to see if it has the 3-gap trap. 1 gap. No. Well, I guess that's 1. 2. Really wasn't a gap at the highs. Just keep that in mind. You know, we talk about, people are like, what the hell are you talking about again? 3-gap traps. They're exhaustion. Keep that in mind. And I love SMH. Oh yeah. Let's pull up the monthly real quick. I'm just curious since this SMH is going to go on the radar. I don't think people realize post-tech bubble. Hey, gone. You know, whatever. Was it 106 was the high? Yeah, 105 down to 13. Oh, but you know, what did you got to hold on to semis forever? No. Momentum lost. Goodbye. Monthly, I mean, 135. I mean, sorry, the 130s would probably be the first support. I mean, would you take $100 on the SMH? Because I don't know what the Soxus will do, but God, you gotta hate the monthly on these things because they deteriorate. This is why people are like, "Oh, you chart these?" I'm like, no, never freaking chart these ever. But you could see a move like this, right? You could see some. God, these ETFs suck. You could see the 30 up to 90. You could sign up for what? Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Greet. Yeah. It's getting real interesting. You know, typically we don't chart the volume, but I'm glad we did. Did you see this, Eric, or anybody who's listening? I mean, there's definitely stopping power. Volume at the lows. Around 30. Soxus, yep, 2.3. But don't be surprised though. This is what the thing is. Could it be a chop bottom? I don't know. That's what you really want to hope for. I mean, these straight line moves at the top. Remember, that's the blow off. These down here, putting that one back in there to watch. Soxel, you want to short this thing? I don't blame you. I mean, it could probably go back down to 5. Nvidia, we talked about earnings Wednesday, right? Here come the earnings. Is the SMH gonna peak today? I don't know. You got 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gap. But will the SMH actually implode until what? Nvidia has their earnings. I just don't think it's possible. Let me just redraw some fibs. Let me redraw some because I'm feeling like these near-term ones is going to say we're getting close to something here. Okay, 0.75. Why is it not colored? 171. Okay. Not as clear. Not as clear. I mean, we are coming into the volume at price node here. Man, can it really get up to 180s? Here's the play, and this is what I'm putting on my NVIDIA. Watch earnings. If it pops, short the flop. Short it. Short. I mean, guess. This depends if the market holds up into Thanksgiving. Watch earnings. If it pops, the short is on. If it doesn't, probably go back to the SMH. Up into earnings tomorrow night? Potentially, but here's the thing. If the market's going to hold up into Thanksgiving, could this play some games? Yeah, you bet your, you know what. All right, AMD guides down, gets 2 upgrades today. Piece of work. Thought maybe it might get stuck here at 75s. You're back up at the 100-day. Well, 100-day has precedence. I would, that's kind of sad to say. I would watch today's highs. Watch the 80s. Watch the 80 level. Right? What's too bad is I don't have enough time to go through how I would pick the options for each one of these. Because, I mean, this video could be like 4 hours. Yeah. Choppy, toppy. 1 gap, 2 gap, multiple gaps. This thing is a dog. But it's over the channel high. You never know. Micron. This thing, remember, this one usually leads. Like, it bottomed first. Here it's coming up into resistance. This is where it gets a little interesting, right? Like, if you see Micron with a 65 handle plus that red alert. Yeah, no doubt. Because they seemed to bottom before the SMH did. I think they usually have earnings earlier too. I'm not saying short it, but I might short it. New core. All right, we're in the commodities. We're on the home stretch. I got like 15 more of these. Here you go, 145. If it can get over that, it can, which I think it's going to be a beast to do it. If it does, that shows some pretty relative strength. I would think this area right here. Let me get all the lines. Yep. That would be my next upside target. Again, it's always fun to draw upside targets in stocks that are trending up, isn't it? How about them apples? Hold wise, watch the 90. I've got alarms for 90. So pop up to 155 plus max. Letter X, not the one I want to trade now. A lot of y'all know we absolutely crushed this at 18 and rode it up into the 39s. Like, this is the monthly trend line. Eric, I think you remember this trade. You were like, oh, how's your 2022 going? Pretty good. Yeah. Near term, 200-day. I'd still watch this in the 16, 18 range. Again, this is not a stock I would prefer to short. So I won't get too deep into it. Yeah, dude, that X, remember, it was like every day, X gon' give it to you memes from DMX all day, every day. It was pretty wild. But that's commodities. When they start moving, they start acting like GameStop and stupid other names. Yeah, that's how I felt. After March, I could have taken the rest of the year off. And I'm like, no, I'm going harder. Let's go harder. Deutsche Bank raises price target on NDAQ to say, oh yeah, dude, they got a bunch of upgrades recently. They're showing patterns. Remember also too, NDAQ is down today. Vale, I'm not going to short these names, so I'm going to give you the support levels. I would look at the 11s. Try to wrap through these quick. And remember, there's a whole commodity list. I'm not even there yet. I'm not even in the commodity zone because I still think the VIX has not peaked. And the bottom is in. So we'll get there at some point. Arrow, I'm telling you, you see in the 8s, come to daddy. CCJ, I've said this a lot. Nobody believed me. I thought this is going to be a teenager, like a $16, $18 stock at some point. I already have an alarm there. This guy I want to see. Let me try that again. This would be a gift. Westinghouse, nukes. Now again, unless aliens show up and show us the better technology. Man, that would be crazy. That's what I'm looking for. UAN, this is an interesting one. I mean, it's definitely acting bullish. It's in a wedge. Watch, again, I'm not really trading. I watch it for CF and Mosaic and all stuff, but I mean, the wedge is coming. 125. After that, I don't know. 125 target. Ding. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, this is such a big chop zone. You gotta, the bigger the better. Remember that. Maybe the upside is somewhere in the 140 to 150 range. Good luck. Don't know. Mosaic. Let's keep this going. I struggled because I'm not trading. I was like, yeah, it's not acting as well. We talked about when I think it stopped me out and then it went running higher. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the 200 day. I mean, it's got to get over the 200 day. I mean, I think I would set my alarms more for the 40 level. But watch the 200 day. It's not very helpful. I get it. It's lagging. Oh, I missed CF. Just kidding. CF, I mean, you guys know the levels now. You're watching this. 107, 110 fills the gap. Channel highs. The stock has been an absolute monster. Monsters react well. Remember, they don't get tax loss sold. Monsters don't get tax loss sold heavily. Fill the gap up to the 125. So let me update my notes again. Channel high, 125 area. Fill gap at 112, 113 for continuation. See the future. No, I'm just kidding. If you're new to the room, you're like, what? Why are you trading CF? And it's like, dude, it just, every dip gets rewarded at some point. And if you're making higher highs and higher lows, at some point you're going to get paid if the market holds up. NTR, we talked about this holding down here, 70 range. It's got to get over the 20 day. Upside seems very logical. You could get right back to the 87 area. I'll draw it. I mean, just, that's probably your max upside. So max upside, but I could be wrong. You know, if the grain stuff starts heating up in Ukraine and people start getting wonky about ag, shit, you don't know. I mean, always watch the 70 area now. Watch 70. If you don't know why, here, I'll zoom it out. The 70 area is massive support. Aaron. The next target is 50. I just know these by heart. 50 and 59 or 58. 200 day. And the 0.382. Type in the wrong things. We've talked about how the big boys stepped in. If you've never seen a trade like this before, this is stopping power. Post earnings, the liquidation that just went right into market makers' hands. Remember, they are a liquidity driven mechanism. They are eating this up. Got to get over 50 next, then it gets up to here. You can see it. Aluminum, you need it. You need it. It's just really that simple. It's like the bottom of this little VAP zone, 200 day. It's just hard to believe that if this goes from 36 to 58 pretty quickly, it's not going to find sellers. That would be the anomaly. Congratulations, though, because, man, I love showing this stuff, because when we pivoted away from tech and we went full commodities fully, I sleep way better at night. MP, this is in the list. Yeah, I'm watching the 40 level. I'm not going to, again, I'd rather see the mid-20s. XBI, try to wrap this up, get them through a few last ones. Upside max. This slightly under 100 area, I would just, this one's tough. This is choppy, sloppy. If you want it, I don't know if I would short it per se. I mean, I know a lot of people love shorting junior bios, and they deserve it. You know, when liquidity goes out the window, junior biotechs don't have money. So I guess watch the 90 level. Yeah, XLF. Let's get through the financials, and we'll take a we'll do this over another day, another version. Here you go. I've said broadening pattern. Watch the 36 plus because it's the 0.618 fib, channel high, target zone, or whatever you want to call it. Broadening pattern because you had a broadening bottom. I don't know why you wouldn't assume a broadening top. The only question I have, are we going to get a big outside reversal? Are we going to get some sort of big outside reversal or just a blow off? I don't know. Morgan Stanley. Oh, let me do the FAS because if you're going to short financials, short the FAS. I would put an alarm in, you know, for 90. Nah, I mean, at this point, what's it at? 30? Yeah, say 30. If you're on a 36 plus, let's say 88 to 90. Just set your alarm. Because if you don't know this, these, again, another levered ETF, like, this is beautiful. Came out in 2008. Remember we talk about, like, levered ETFs come out usually during the peak momentum of a stock. Because it's the best way for retail to just get slaughtered and the market makers to drain them of every penny they have. Their 40 got down to $1. Would you take a 95% wipeout from 86? I don't know if we'll ever get that bad. That was pretty bad, but I mean, would you take 89 to 15? Yes, please. Yes, yes. I'll take that. So, I mean, downside, I mean, this is, could we get back to the COVID lows? Yeah. Easy. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Morgan Stanley. You're in the next zone. So I'd say 90 plus. If you want to start a short, just watch it. Watch for some distribution. Not really seeing it yet. You can see how. Don't be surprised if you got up. Sorry, I mean, might as well just draw it to the 618. I mean, that's kind of, yeah, I would say 95 is the first short zone. Watch the 90s and the 0.618 max upside. All right, last one, JP Morgan. Thanks for hanging out with me. This is the kind of stuff you got to do. This is an hour and 13 minutes. Try to find some other topics to do later. Hey, Kat. Liking how the fib lines up here. Let's dial this in a little better. Right there. What happens if you move it here? Okay, I like this way better. So now we talk about, again, the fibs. Oh, thank you so much. Where did I stop at? Oh, sorry, I was at FAS. Let's go back to Morgan Stanley. My bad. Here you go. The 0.618, 95 area. That's probably the max upside for Morgan. JP Morgan. They're all Morgans. So I had the fib connected to this top here in, what is that, October 21. And I moved it to this one. Look at that. You're there. You're getting there. You're getting there. It makes sense. Let's draw some boxes just to like kind of play with this and see how things line up. Okay, you got a line there. Yeah, no, it makes sense. You got the resistance, support, you got all sorts of stuff. So you're into the, 135 plus, 50% fib, and then wicks up to 140. All right. I hope this helps. I appreciate everybody. All the, love and support has been much appreciated. I know a lot of people get a lot out of this. If you're not subscribing, you're not getting the notifications. We're typically posting a ton of stuff on Twitter. posting a ton of stuff to the Discord room, trying to get as many videos as possible to help teach people, because people keep saying, like, why are you giving this away for free? And I'll tell you, and I say it every time, I'm not scared of competition. I can give this to 99% of people and they're still going to mess it up. It's like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan can tell you how to get, be pretty good at their sports, but they won't do it. Yeah, no, and this is what I think this is good for, is like once you can start seeing this through my eyes, because this is where all of my best learning have come from, is from the people that I studied under, just watching them execute it. Watching them build the charts and watching them execute it. So, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And, I say this all the time, only a few people are going to survive. No one's guaranteed. The market's one mistake. It's like we're playing Dem Diggs. He was asking me about options. And I'm like, man, if you don't have a separate options account and you have it probably 10% of your stock account max, you're playing with grenades. You pull the pin and hold on by accident, goodbye. And I told people my options account at one point during October, it was down 70%, but I've pulled 6 times that amount out. So I'm not that complaining. I'm not scared to reload if I really had to. This is Eric has been we've been doing pretty good this year. But point being is, it doesn't even matter. Like your options account, people who trade options with their stocks, you're gonna find yourself believing in something potentially and going bigger than you should, and then all it takes is one mistake. Remember, the market, just like the casino, knows you will make a mistake at some point. So that's the goal, is to help each other not make mistakes and be very thoughtful. Sometimes people are like, you're a jerk, you're being mean. And I just tell people this all the time. I don't want to see you lose money doing things that I know that put you in a position to get absolutely wiped out. Yeah, definitely a lot of good shorts. This is what's great, is like, I don't know if, a lot of people didn't see us short the last top. Who remembers this, if anyone's got 2 seconds? We said, we're either going to short arm the 200-day, hit it perfectly, or we're going slightly over it to trap it. Initially, we shorted here. We got stopped out. That happens. And then waited, and it was a thing of beauty. We talked about, the first bounce gets bought, at some point. Well, boom, it happened to be here. Shorted some more, set another bounce, watched the 20-day. And then September was a little gnarlier because I thought we were going to hold here better. No, blew out, went out of town, some issues. But picking tops, picking bottoms with full focus, never been a problem. It's executing. And when I say executing, do you notice chop tops, retests, blowouts? Like, look at the low here in October. That's an outside reversal. Like, I know all the different formations, but they play out over days. People struggle with that mentally. Like, oh, it has to happen today. I don't know if y'all some of the people in Discord, we talk about the bottom here. When we broke below the channel low, that was the sign. It gapped up. We knew it was game on, but then what happened? It took a couple weeks to chop out and then go. It's great to trade, and then it was like game on. Well, here's the same thing. I know a lot of people in the Discord room blew out because they didn't anticipate any pullbacks. They wouldn't buy on the 20-day. They started shorting. I'm like, no. The 20-day holds. It's going higher. So, anyway, good chatting. Appreciate you guys. If you want to join, I'm telling you. But I want to hear your story. I don't want people to just tell me what to do, Dan. Everybody here is hanging out and telling me, puts in the hours. I know their trading's doing better. I get donations all the time. I never ask for it, never required. People are very thankful. They're like, Jesus, you've really helped me out here. Okay, that's the goal. Other people have been around. They know how this works. This isn't easy. But if you have 10 or 15 people minimum watching each other's back, being completely honest with no egos, man, you got a super team. So, yeah, check it out, man. Watch from the beginning. I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you in the Discord room. Later, boys and girls.